Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are diving into some corporate drama, but don't worry, it's not as juicy as your favorite reality show, though there might be a golden parachute involved. We're looking at an 8K filing from the Cigna Group. An 8K is a report companies file with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, to announce major events that could be important to investors. Think of it as a corporate news bulletin. This one tells us about the departure of a top executive and the details of his exit package. So the main story here is that Eric P. Palmer, who was the Executive Vice President for Enterprise Strategy and also the President and CEO of Evernorth Health Services, is leaving Cigna. His employment will end in late April of 2025. This isn't a sudden surprise because Cigna already told us about it a month before. This filing gives us the specifics of his departure agreement. Now let's get to the agreement itself. On April 15, 2025, Cigna and Mr. Palmer signed an agreement and release, basically a document outlining the terms of his departure. It includes standard stuff like promises not to share confidential information, not to steal employees or customers, not to compete with Cigna, and not to say bad things about the company. These are all common clauses in these types of agreements. But the part everyone is interested in is the money. Mr. Palmer is getting a cash payment of $5.2 million, and that is before taxes. This payment is broken down into a few parts. First, it includes 78 weeks of his base salary, so about a year and a half worth of pay. It also includes 150% of his target bonus under Cigna's Enterprise Incentive Plan, or EIP, for the year 2025. Finally, the $5.2 million includes a subsidy to help him pay for COBAR, which is health insurance coverage after he leaves the company. This subsidy covers the cost of what Cigna would have paid. For the year 2008 weeks of his base salary, so about a year and a half worth of pay. It also includes 150% of his target bonus under Cigna's Enterprise Incentive Plan, or EIP, for the year 2025. Finally, the $5 2025. Finally, the $5.2 million includes a subsidy to help him pay for COBAR, which is health insurance coverage after he leaves the company. 25 Incentive Plan, or EIP, for the year 2025. Finally, the $5.2 million already. But wait, there's more. Mr. Palmer also has stock options, restricted stock and strategic performance shares, or SPSs, under Cigna's long-term incentive plan, or LTIP. These are basically ways for executives to own a piece of the company and be rewarded for its long-term success. Any of these stocks that are supposed to become fully his within 12 months of his departure date will continue to do so. Also, the SPSs will be paid out based on how well the company actually performs. The total estimated value of this stock-related treatment is about $4.8 million based on Cigna's stock price on April 15, 2025. That's a lot of money tied up in stock. Keep in mind that the exact number of shares he gets and when he gets them will be decided by the People Resources Committee of Cigna's Board of Directors according to the rules of the LTIP. There's one more detail about the stock options. Stock options give someone the right to buy shares of a company. Stock price goes up, the person can buy the shares at the lower price and make a profit. However, stock options have expiration dates. For Mr. Palmer, any stock options he was granted before 2021 will expire either on their original expiration date or 90 days after he leaves, whichever comes first. Stock options granted after 2020 will expire 90 days after he leaves, whichever comes first. Stock options granted after 2020 will expire 90 days after he leaves, whichever comes first. Stock options granted after 2020 will expire 90 days after he leaves, whichever comes first. Stock options granted after 2020 will expire 90 days after April 26, 2026. The report was signed by Nicole S. Jones, Executive Vice President, Chief Administrative Officer, and General Counsel of the Cigna Group. So this is official. Now, what does all of this mean? Well, it tells us a few things. First, it shows that Cigna is making a change in its leadership, with Mr. Palmer leaving his position. It also gives us insight into how Cigna compensates its top executives, with a combination of salary, bonuses, and stock-based awards. The size of Mr. Palmer's exit package, which amounts to around $10 million, including cash and stock benefits, indicates the level of importance he held within the company. From Cigna's perspective, this kind of generous exit package is fairly normal, especially considering the role that he had at the company. It's really a way for them to ensure a smooth transition. It incentivizes Palmer to cooperate, honor those confidentiality agreements, and not to compete or talk bad about them. It's a cost of doing business. However, it also can be an opportunity. A company reshuffling its leadership can indicate that it is pivoting to a new strategy. A new leader may bring a fresh perspective and new ideas that can lead to positive changes for the company. But it could also mean instability, especially if the change isn't handled well. So as an investor or someone interested in Cigna, you want to pay attention. On the financial side, Cigna is going to have to shoulder about $5.2 million as a one-time payout. While that is not an insignificant amount to you or me, Cigna is a giant company, so it is unlikely to hurt them very much. I think it's safe to assume that they already have this kind of stuff factored into their operating expenses. Overall, this filing gives us a glimpse behind the curtain of a major corporate event and shows us the financial realities of executive departures. Cigna appears to be handling this transition in a standard way. The risks are those that come with all changes in leadership, but the company seems stable enough to weather the change. Thanks for tuning in to Corporate Decoder. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe for more insights into the world of corporate filings. Until next time.